Welcome, fight fans, to GOAT MMA. We are back. Susio, we escaped the wives. It's Thursday night. The eye rolls, the arguing, the honey. I got something real important to do. And hey, man, we got to bring the peeps the goodness. You know what I mean? How you doing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, good, man. I'm pumped. I managed to escape, and now we're here. We're getting ready for some real fights on the weekend.
Yeah, man.
It's classic
too.
I've been doing a lot of chess watching too. Speaking of other kinds of fights, man, this whole movie. It's a phenomenon now. Everyone's into chess now. It's awesome.
Queen's Gambit. That's a sick. I told you, man.
Hey. But you know what though? People say that. People say, okay, it was a show. But at the end of the day, all it's doing is highlighting, how cool the game is.
Oh, I don't disagree. Disagree. But this is similar to the moneymaker phenomena with the World Series of Poker.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing with these kind of fringe sports like MMA, right? You would take something like that to like a cool movie or a cool event or something to kind of bring highlight to it. And now chess has got seen the resurgence. There's this dominant dude called if you don't know anything about chess, Magnus Carlsen. Dude, this guy, he'll play 10 guys backwards. Remember all of the chessboard and beat all their asses in like record time. Yeah, one of those guys.
Some impressive minds in chess. We've been playing on that chess.com. No sponsorship there, but if they're interested, give us a shout. I've been playing my buddy Nate down in Cali. Like a bunch of us now, we're just playing on there because you can set up games that have 1 to 3 day clocks if you want. And like you said, you kind of get into it. You watch a couple of videos, you try some moves, and
man, get into it. It's a good sport. People that haven't tried it, try it. But it's one-on-one. That's what I like about it. I like individual sports, 1v1. Like who's got the mental competitive edge, and that's what the edge that you could take to MyBookie.com.
All right.
Well, slid that one in. Look, that was a smooth slide in.
It was an all right. It was an all right segue. But before we go to the segue, just so people know what to expect tonight, we're definitely going to talk about last weekend, because last weekend, I hope you guys watched. Man, there was some explosive fights in there. We'll hit on a few of them. Our hits.
Great card.
Very little misses last week on our picks. But before we do, MyBookie. It's simple. It's simple, man. If you're gonna wager, if you're gonna bet prop bets on whether it's the fights, whether it's the Tyson fight that we're gonna talk about in a bit, whether it's football, soccer, you name it, they have it. The elections, you could have bet on there. MyBookie, and use the code GOAT GOAT, and they will match up to $1,000 of your money, free money, # free money. Yeah, man. Yeah. Mayweather just it's all their bills the money coming at your face just for depositing on MyBookie and placing some fun wagers. So, Phil, we're going to talk about last week for sure. We're going to talk Tyson Jones for sure. And then we're going to talk about some MMA, UFC type headline stuff. We might talk about the fights coming up this weekend. There's a lot to talk about, man. Let's get right to it.
Let's do it.
All right, bro. Tyson Jones Jr.
Oh, we're jumping into that, eh?
Let's start there. Let's start there because, you know what? Let's just start there. We'll start there.
All right. Let's do it.
So the reason I wanted to kind of bring this up is I don't know. I know you're deep into this as well. And people listening might not know, but there's been a lot of changes to this thing. It's been sculpted, even all the way up to like a few days ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's always as far as the changes in the timing and all that stuff. At the end of the day, they're trying something new. I'm very it seems a very eclectic card. I'm very curious how the promotion pulls it off. And what kind of format they use. Do they do more UFC style? Do they do more WWE style, flashy? I'm very curious about how that works out. As a card itself, I mean, there's a couple of guys that are like legit fighters. But you also have the show fight. This is an interesting one, man. So there's this guy named Logan Paul, who most people, if you're under the age of 30, know who it is because he's a YouTube like superstar, like billions of views, all that. He fought this guy KS1 in a real fight, and it got pay-per-views, and they made a few million each, actually. So this guy, he challenges. Do you remember Nate Robinson from the NBA?
I think so.
He was popular in a lot of teams, but he was also with the Boston Celtics. Anyways, he's fighting him this weekend.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so they're
fighting on this card.
Yeah, undercard. They're on the undercard, and it's actually like a celebrity are in good shape, like Jake, or is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul? I think it is. Anyways, this guy, he's like a Division I wrestler. He calls out all kinds of people. He called out Ben Askren, but it's one of those cards. So what my point is like you're going to be trying different things. I think Lil Wayne's going to be there. A bunch of rappers are going to be there. Like there's going to be tons of celebrities. That's for sure. A Mike Tyson event, and then you get the main card, Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. Like what's up right now? Like the 13, 14-year-old in me right now is just like kicking it high gear because I am so stoked to see Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that's a thing, right? It's the whole nostalgia of it. Even Roy Jones, like these guys are legends in the sport for sure. But I was kind of referring, like, if you look at the rules on this thing, I just feel like it's changed so much since the beginning. Now it's considered an exhibition bout.
Yeah.
It's 8 rounds of 2 minutes.
Right. No coaching judges.
No headgear required.
Yeah.
12-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
Any cut stops the fight.
Right.
And no knockouts.
So knowing those, how do you apply that to your betting on MyBookie.com? So you got to think that these guys are fighting at like I don't know what they were listed at, what do they got? 215, 220, something like that. I don't know what the weight class is, but it's got to be up there. So the chances of a solid, destruction.
Well, look, you're talking about, if not the most powerful puncher in Tyson.
Was
obviously Jones has the speed. He should be in better cardio shape, you would imagine.
I mean, they both look good.
They both look really good.
Yeah, which is a really interesting fight for him to pick Jones Jr. as his comeback fight, and Jones Jr. to fight Tyson, but specifically the style. Jones has that evasive style that he's like slick, comes in.
I think it needed this. I think it also needed a balanced star power to it. It couldn't.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
It couldn't have just been some Joe Blow in the other corner. You know what I mean?
For the attention that it's getting right now.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what a great pick.
Yeah.
Okay, Evander would have been good too. Lennox wouldn't do it.
This is the fight. This is a fun. These are the two guys, man. These are the two guys. When you think, who is it? Other than maybe Mayweather.
All right, so let's take away all of the rest of the fluff. Okay, strictly technically speaking. Now, attributing age to it, Tyson hasn't fought in 15 years. I can't remember when Jones fought last. But styles specific, how do you like this going down? You got the Tyson kind of old, like the side to side power puncher. You got the Jones.
Jones definitely has a reach advantage. I think it's 74, 71 reach advantage. Like I said, he's quicker. I don't know. It's typical Tyson, right? If Tyson gets in close and he catches you, good night. Knockout or no knockout allowed. That's what happens. But if the fight can go a bit of a distance, I think it obviously, to me, it favors Jones. And that's why Jones was pissed when they started cutting these rounds and making them shorter and shorter. And that's what he was saying when he was on Rogan is, they're kind of giving this more of a, like, what are you going to do next? Make it a minute round and just give Tyson the opportunity to knock him out, for a minute, and that's it.
But I mean, it is a long time, like two minutes. I don't care. Like when you're fighting at that level of blasting, it's a long time regardless. I think that, that those are the comments looking back after the fight. You're going to be like, oh yeah, it didn't look like you couldn't have used the extra minute or whatever, like you're sucking wind right now, bro.
Let me ask you this. As a guy who, the sport, you've had a bit of whatever time in the gym, like, learning boxing, that type of deal. You're a little knowledgeable more than I am.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. These guys coming in with their experience and not having fought in a while, knowing who their opponent is, are they coming back in thinking, I need to get back to where I was? Like, not thinking, okay, I need to change my game plan? Or do you think they're coming in with the same game plan they had like whatever amount of years ago when they were in the ring last? Or you think they're looking at their opponent and looking at the rules and adjusting to them?
I don't think that they're fine tuning like that, man. Like at the end of the day, those neurons are so deeply driven.
And who does that favor?
Who can execute? Who's in better shape? It will favor whoever's in better shape, and it will favor who's able to do something quick.
Exactly. And who's that?
Right? Well, the problem is Tyson. I mean, Tyson has lost a lot of weight. Okay, he still has a lot of punching power. I don't know what Jones Jr. He's coming off like he was asked, so you're kind of catching up right off the block, right? I mean, my pick is Mike Tyson as far as
but that's like if Lennox Lewis was fighting, I don't care who he'd be fighting. It's not like I'm going to take the other guy, So obviously you're going to take Tyson.
No, but the thing is like you're looking at it's geared towards a Tyson win. It's his promotion.
Oh, totally. And
everything.
That's what saying.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I could see them, how Lennox Lewis in the later rounds against Tyson, it was kind of a lot of, like, there were pops, but there was a lot of hanging ons, a lot of splitting ups, a lot of that shit, like time killers. And a 2-round fight for 8 rounds or 9 rounds or whatever it is, it kills a lot of time. So I could see in the later rounds that a lot of that bullshit going on. But
the problem with me is this is like, it's Tyson's company, right? That's kind of promoting this thing.
Promotional company, I guess.
So for me, the whole, like, there's too much involved corporately for this to be like 2 guys going in and just being like raw boxing, like just.
Well, the rules are all messed up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that tells you right away what kind of fight this is going to be. I think it's like what you're saying. It's going to be kind of scripted almost, not necessarily, but kind of in a way. They're doing as much as they can to script it.
Look, boxing is speculative at best under normal conditions. How many times you watch a boxing fight and you're like, they called it. What the fuck? They called it for what? Like so many times in boxing, there's some kind of third-party interference. It's almost like WWF back in the day when the manager would throw a fucking chair in the ring. Like how's that even possible? Like, what's going on? There's a lot of shadiness in boxing as a general rule. So many rules apply in this, so I wouldn't expect anything less than, say, a referee stoppage. I would say something like that, where it's heads butt or something like. I would assume some kind of finish like that before I see some ridiculous KO. That's for sure. I would.
So if they stop it for a cut, like, what's the actual decision on that? Just stoppage, no decision?
I mean,
I'm just wondering for betting purposes, like, where does that?
Well, I'm looking at it right now. They have method of victory.
I haven't bet on boxing in so long, man, that I don't know what that would even. I guess technical draw. So
they have that. They have technical draw.
So it's plus 1100 draw or technical draw.
Will appeal. I love MyBookie. Will a point be deducted? Yes, a point will be deducted. No point. I love that.
Plus 400 for yes. Well, look at this. Both knocked down. Plus 550.
The Rocky Balboa
first round KO. You don't even have to pick who. Plus 700.
That's the fun part about this. Yes, okay, Tyson may win, but there's a lot of different action to go on. Check it out, but on MyBookie. But if you're gonna look at it, you got to pick. You got to revolve around Tyson just for all those shady reasons, No,
he's minus 240. So minus 240 Tyson, plus 170 Jones. I mean, I'm surprised the Jones line isn't pushed even farther away, to be honest.
Like with Tyson, he could easily like flare out, wins in first or second round, right? Mm-hmm. Or wins by unanimous decision plus 600.
All right. So you got Tyson?
I got Tyson on this one.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like I was, you know me, man. I was not like Tyson was Tyson. I mean, how do you not want to watch Tyson when he was fighting? But I was a Lennox Lewis guy. So and I'm more of a Jones guy than I am a Tyson guy as well. I mean, I'd like to see Jones win, but I kind of agree with what you're saying, the whole business side of it. But guys, go check out MyBookie. Use the code GOAT when you sign up and when you're depositing money that first time, and they will match, like I said, up to $1,000 just for you to have fun, and you get to obviously keep those winnings. So it's a beautiful thing. Last week, Phil, we UFC 255, which was one of those similar to the cards we'd had the weekends prior, because there's so many that you kind of think, you look at the card, you know, maybe a week before or whatever, and you're like, there's a couple of good fights in there. And then the more we dive into these cards, the more the storylines get interesting. And last weekend, man, these fights did not disappoint.
No, there was good fights all over the place. I mean, or certain fighters were able to highlight, you know, further their flair a little bit. You know, case in point, Joaquin Buckley, who just beat up Jordan Wright. Brandon Moreno beating up Brandon Royval. Yeah. You know, Antonio Shevchenko coming out and doing some damage against Lipsky, who you know, all of those were shining moments. And then Tim Means saying, I'm not done yet. Mauricio Shogun saying, I might be done yet. And Paul Craig saying, what's up? So that was a great fight all the way around. Shevchenko, what'd you think of that fight?
The main one?
The Valentina.
Yeah, she was dominant. She fought her fight to like, she defended, you know what I mean? Like, she fought like she was defending her title.
There was a going around that was it Rogan, and they were saying they were a little too favorite on Maya. Like they kind of fluffed her up a little bit with the commentary, that if you looked at it again, you know, it's not as close as Shevchenko was a little bit more dominant.
Really?
Yeah. Although I disagree a little bit with that. I would kind of agree with their assessment on that. I think Maya was able to do some things, at least keep her uneasy, you know, and Shevchenko.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a complete domination. I would say at first, like, I think until she adjusted.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 for sure.
She had her on the back of her heels like a couple times, but then once she adjusted, you know, that's why they're championship rounds, right? It's a whole different game. The farther in you get.
She pulled away for sure.
Yeah,
definitely pulled away. But
sorry, go ahead.
But I mean, good on Jennifer. She did some stuff well. I mean, she stayed in the pocket. She was able to take some shots. Shevchenko wasn't really that, you know, doing her dominant thing. So, you know, it was a little surprising. And for people in her division, kind of opened some eyes, saying she is fallible. She can be beat. So, yeah, that's another highlight for Shevchenko, although she did her little dance at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah,
she's technically sound, man. That's the thing, right? It's one of those things where if she has an off night, it kind of covers up a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And we saw the same thing with her sister. She was just technically superior.
I never thought that. I never thought it was
same.
Never pegged her.
That's the one. I think that might be the only one we got wrong. I don't know. Maybe as we go through, we'll find another one. But
Calvillo. Okay,
let me just go back. Before early prelims, which you don't, I want to go worst tattoo ever goes to Luis Cosce, the first fight. Sorry, man. I just can't. Anyways, go check that out. Alan Juba versus Jared Gooden. Dude, this was a battle. These guys were at war, and it was awesome. Like, they just kept going forward. This was my favorite fight of the card.
Yeah, it was a great fight. Alan Jouban known for that, though. Like, he gets into those wars, despite he's a model, eh?
Is he really? That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's an actual model for like Calvin Klein or whatever, and he does all that. So I mean, he throws down, man. That guy throws down.
Oh, these guys were not holding back. They kept moving forward. I found the other one actually that I got wrong, and it was the Dalby fight against Rodriguez. Rodriguez just came in flat, man. He just wasn't the same dominant beast that we saw in his previous fights. And I don't know if you guys, I think you may have, it was either you or, yeah, maybe it was you that, I don't know. Did you have Dalby? For some reason, I'm thinking I
didn't have that one.
All right, we talk about Lipsky. She got mangled. Jordan Wright got bashed in by Joaquin Buckley.
That's a shining star.
Nah, he follows it up, man. You know what? That's not a lot of people will shine in that pressure, and he definitely shined. He was a beast.
Yeah, no,
second round, right? KO.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. 18 seconds.
But the shining star, bro, was still the champ on the main event. Like Figueiredo, I'm sorry, but like for him to come out there, I mean, it was very reminiscent of DJ Demetrius and his. Like we talked about it a few ago, but his transition into an armbar, that guillotine was gorgeous from a technical standpoint. Okay. His ability he was again against the fence, creatively went for a leg lock, defended nicely against Perez, had him on top, slid out, and then he managed to just effortlessly slide his hand underneath his neck and beautifully wrench his neck to get in the guillotine. Now that whole sequence of jiu-jitsu is very, very high caliber. Very high caliber. So that tells me this guy's on another fucking planet.
But he looked like he was on another planet.
That number, minus 280, okay, that should have been minus 500 for this fight, and it will be for the next fight against Moreno. He's going to fight Moreno next. Maybe 350. I would say.
On the same card, right?
Yeah, he was on the same card, right? So they both called each other out.
There you go. Both.
So and Dana said legitimately that they're not even sending him home. They're keeping him there, and they're going to fight in December in one of the cards.
Did you see him? Did you see Dana White hand Figueiredo a bag with $50,000 cash in it?
That'd be sweet.
What was that for? He kept saying, "I owe it." I
think they fucked up the performance of the night or something like that. He should have won, which I agreed that should have given the champ his money.
Yeah, no, it was a good card, man. And Figueiredo looks like one of these champs that's not going to be easy to take the belt from.
And you go from this fight, which is highly technical jiu-jitsu finish, technical Valentina, to this fight this week, the Beast versus Razor Blaydes.
All right, before we jump to it,
I love this fight.
Before we jump to that, you're on MyBookie. You've got all your prop bets. You're picking your winners. You want something a little different. You want to challenge your friends. Go check out Monkey Knight Fight. Trust me. If you haven't heard Monkey Knight Fight, go check it out. Use the code
Monkey Knife.
What did I say?
Night.
Wow. See, I'll mess up any name. I will mess it up. Like I said,
any word.
English language. The best part is Figueiredo, no problem. But then I come in here and I'm like, anyways, so guys, just use the code GOAT, Monkey Knife Fight. You can challenge, like I said, you can challenge your buddies. You get a group of friends and you guys can kind of put wagers on who's going to have higher points scored is the way they do the UFC fights. It's a lot of fun, man. They got different games. They got football, different sports, basketball. Go check it out. Phil, this weekend, like you said, we've got some heavyweights. There's going to be some fists flying with Blaydes. What are you thinking? What are you thinking with this fight?
I mean, you're talking heavy. Anytime you're dealing with the heavyweights, it's going to be interesting. Now, the problem is, for a few variables, you got Curtis Blaydes versus Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, we know and love from many fights, his balls being overly warm, Instagram, knockouts, last-minute knockouts. Okay? We love this guy. Curtis Blaydes is very effective and straight up says his strategy is ground and pound, laying on top of them and just basically nullifying them and getting either a smashing or a ground and pound or a decision out of it. That's his MO. He doesn't care. He's unabashed by it. So this is where it's kind of like number 2 versus number 4, but forget about the numbers right now. The style, and how that impacts your betting.
So I was going to say, like, I'm surprised actually by this line. And we even saw from Lewis, his ground game is improving. Like, he's not just, that's part of his game that he's been working on, the cardio, the ground game to match up with his stand-up game.
It's like a story. It's like a different fairy tale story in its own right. The man who tried to get up because he's down there and everyone knows he's down there. He's taking heat, but somehow he kind of musters up the energy. It reminds me of Hulk Hogan when he was down and he musters up the energy and finally gets up. Everyone starts cheering, because he made it up, and then he knocks him out. That's a Derek Lewis storyline. We're going to see it again. Can he effectively get up, technically speaking, against a very effective takedown artist in Curtis Blaydes? Curtis Blaydes is no joke, man. He's legit. He doesn't care.
A heavy favorite, minus 390.
Well, there's a reason. That's exactly the reason.
Right?
The story of of Lewis just KOing him would be, I'm not going to lie, like that's what people want to see. Especially with Blaydes having, a checkered kind of lukewarm response to his personality in the league, so to speak. So, I can totally see Blaydes just lying on top of him, smashing his face. Black Beast can't do anything about it, and it just decision or a 4th round knockout. I don't think it's enough to just knock him out in the first, second, or no, wait. Yeah, it's a main event, right? They're having 5. So that's another thing. Derek Lewis is notoriously, middle round kind of slows down a lot. So, and Blaydes just like, he's in pretty good shape for a guy who's a heavyweight.
So if you're going to put, let's say, for Lewis, and you're going to pick a round, let's say, because if Blaydes gets on him in that first round and tires him out, even if he gets out of that round and makes to the second round, is he going to have the energy to KO Blaydes? And
no, him against, just rewatch him versus Volkov. He was
that's what I'm saying.
Yes, he will. If you're gonna bet on a Lewis fight, on a Lewis win, I would say 4th or 5th round knockout, because we got to remember Blaydes is
you're going deep into this fight, which is even better, dude. Round 3 is plus 3,300. Round 3 is plus 2,200.
No, round 4, you mean?
Round 4 is plus 3,300 and plus 3 is plus 2,200.
So, like, you got to remember, Blaydes is still going to be fresh for the first round for sure. It's going to be a feeling out process, especially a heavyweight. Everyone's going to be hesitant to engage. So he's going to try to do some takedowns, maybe successfully, but either way, that's going to kill out some time on the first round. Second round, Blaydes is going to be, maybe he's going to be more aggressive, maybe not, but you're going to see the tide flow in one way or the other. If Derek Lewis can do effectively, he's going to want to do it in the later rounds. Obviously, he'd want to do it in the first, but Blaydes is just too good. He's number 2. He's not going to just let it happen at the first. He's got to wear him down a little bit, and then Lewis is going to catch up. So that's why you're looking at 4-5 for Lewis on the TKO. Blaydes, I could see ground and pound in the second or third.
Yeah, man, interesting fight. I think I would, you know me, man. I like the big payout, and you're looking at the second ranked guy and the 4th rank. I'm surprised that it's that lopsided. If you think it's well deserved, then I guess you go and look at the prop bets, right? If you're going to put your money on Blaydes, right?
That's right. Absolutely, you go and prop bets and see that's what I'm saying. So, like, thinking about it, okay, barring a knockout, kind of a grand slam home run shot, you know what I mean? Like that happens, fine. But if you're just playing going back to the chess analogy, if you're just playing move for move, you got to assume that, Blaydes is good enough in the first early rounds to defend against relatively predictable striking by Beast. you know. So if those nullify each other, then you got to go into later rounds to kind of determine where the edges is going to be found. I can't see it any other way. And Derek Lewis just takes punishment so well. You know, he gets out of it. He kind of figures his way. You know, that's what his MMA style should be. It should be called figuring his way, because he just figures.
He's like MacGyver.
Yeah, he's the MacGyver of MMA, because he finds a way and then he knocks him out. And that's what I think kind of position on that one. Are you going with the favorite on this one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For me, going for the favorite's always kind of boring. Obviously, a guy like Blaydes, I think, like you said, stylistically, the advantage is there, and that's why the line is so tilted. But because of Lewis's power and what you're describing, and how we were seeing an evolution out of him, I think, the last couple fights, you know, that maybe wasn't there prior in his earlier fight. So, you know, I think he's got enough tools to kind of beat what that line is saying. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So whether it's a prop bet and I'm figuring out which round I want him to win the fight in, or I'm just, you know, betting on his +3, what was it? Plus like 340 or something like that. I think that there's enough there for it to back it up. Look, yeah, obviously maybe I'm doing a parlay and I'm putting Blaydes in there as, you know, just the favorite and just to get the payout chances higher with that parlay. But I'm a sucker for these type of fights, man. Like, I love the firepower that a guy like Lewis brings to the cage. And you know, like you said, a guy like Blaydes, if he gets him down, and it's going to be one of those long rounds, like you're going to be sitting there, especially if you put your money on Lewis, you're watching that fight and it's like torture. It's like watching paint dry, you know, when your guy's on the ground and his opponent's just on top of him. And that's what we could see, you know, for a good majority of these rounds.
But even that's one. Okay, so that's his skill set, wrestling, right? So watching him, like, it's a Khabib. You're not necessarily upset at watching a Khabib fight because he makes its wrestling so entertaining. Now, the Blaydes there's a lot of pauses in between his strikes, so that kind of dumbs it down a little bit as far as that goes. But watching, I mean, he's restraining a heavyweight and not allowing him to get up, you know? So that's a skill in itself.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not entertaining.
But it's boring to watch.
No, I didn't even mean boring. I just mean that when you have money on a guy, and you know that the only way he's paying out is by him knocking out the other guy, right. And you see him on the ground on his back the whole year. It's like torture, dude, because you just want him up. You're like, dude, get up. I need you to win. You know, that's all. I'm not saying it's boring. Any kind of fighting is entertaining to me, man. Like you said, you know, even on the ground, there's a lot to learn there.
I think that when you look at fights, you got to look at the most likely scenario between both fighters. That's how I make my picks. I look at, like, okay, who's coming into what different variables are going into the fighter, you know, and you got to really think about those things before you make your where your angle is. So that's you're giving your best possible outcome. And yeah, okay, you get caught sometimes, you know, and sometimes you get upset, but it's the most likely scenario is that Blaydes will stay on top of Lewis, probably pull out a decision. You know, it's another thing. Like statistically, I'm saying, if you're like in insurance and you figure out the likelihood of something, you're more likely, 80% more likely that's going to happen. If you bet like that, odds are you'll come out with a W. The only problem is it doesn't make it fun.
Well, I was gonna say it all depends on what kind of bettor you are, right? Like, if you're a serious bettor, then yeah, you're looking to get that 56 to 60% kind of winning, percentage there. But if you're for fun, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm usually betting more just for fun, and especially on these cards, because it's fun, man. It's fun getting a guy like Lewis in there, you know, a big underdog, and he pulls up the upset. For me, that's way more fun than putting money on Blaydes. But then, you know, on the other side, there's different ways to bet, and there's different reasons to bet, right? And like you said, the smart money is for sure on Blaydes. There's a reason he's minus 380 or whatever it is.
So put him on a solid parlay. You can put him with a Tyson win, you know, and Devin Clark W, who's on the undercard.
Okay, let me ask you this really quick on this card. One name is sticking out here. Anthony Smith. We recently saw got
I don't like that.
Little beat up
I don't like this fight. I don't like this fight for him, man.
Too soon or what?
Yeah, man. And I just don't like. I know he took it at short notice, and I know, but you're fighting Devin Clark. Yes, he's Anthony Smith is favorite. I just don't. That line is giving him a lot of props for what he did in the past and not what's in the current. You know what I mean? And he's coming off a bad loss against Jones. He came off another loss, a month ago?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was weeks ago, like 5 weeks ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago.
So, looking at the prop bets on that one, on that particular one, like you kind of look into that a little cleaner, like Clark wins in round 2 plus 1,400. You know what I'm saying? Wins in round 1 plus 100. Put $10 on, pick a round. You got 3 to work with. That's even easier because you got 3 to work plus 22 in round.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Smith is favored.
That's what I'm saying, man.
That's crazy.
But he's like, it's a little combination of Devin Clark being unproven. If you look at the guys he's fought, not super, high end. Smith coming off those high end fights, but on a downslope, right? He's fighting Devin Clark. He's not fighting. He's not up there. So, for me, I got to pick Devin Clark in this one. Maybe a knockout in round 2.
Yeah, I'm leaning Clark too.
My bookie says plus 1,400 on a knockout round 2. So I would say that in a parlay, and then you got the main event, and then you got the Tyson fight. Those are 3 good bets right there. That
There you go. Check it out, guys. MyBookie. Use the code GOAT. Monkey Knife Fight.
There you go.
The code GOAT.
A lot of goats.
And I mean, just with those 2 sites, man, you're gonna have a ball. Go do your research tonight. The fights are, well, if you listen to this, we'll probably drop this as soon as we're done. It's probably Saturday or Friday or Saturday that you're listening to this right now. But, once you're ready to place your wagers, man, check out MyBookie, check out Monkey Knife Fight, and use the code GOAT, and you'll get taken care of. They will match some dollars, shoot some free money at your face.
Do your homework, too. Check it out. Like, look what's going on currently. But, okay, I got to bring something up. This brought back something that just popped in my head that is too controversial not to talk about. Okay, so Paige Van Zandt. Paige Van Zandt is about to make her BKFC debut, bare knuckle.
Is that bare knuckle thing? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her opponent Sheena Starr recently said one of the worst things I've ever heard someone say. Okay, ready for this? So she says Paige Van Zandt famously trains at Team Alpha Male, or did, right? Her opponent says, I can't wait for her hype train to be derailed, worse than the train that was ran on her at Team Alpha Male.
Ooh, I wish I had my drops, man.
Wow.
Of course you bring that the night where I don't have my soundboard working.
Happens to be. So that's killer on its own. Okay? And that's based on a rumor. I don't even know what the rumor is. A quick Google search turned up nothing.
Okay, but here, let's put this in perspective there, dude.
It gets worse.
All right, I'll let you finish.
It gets worse. Unbeknownst to, or so she says, to Star, okay, Paige Van Zandt wrote in her book that she was gang raped at 14. Now, only reason why I bring this up is the severity of the comments that were said, combined with the whole situation. Is there a line? Is there a line, a firm line to say some things you shut up about?
I think, again, what I was going to say, and it still applies. I mean, you're not talking about her joining the UFC and the UFC carrying the name. Like, she's coming in to bring recognition to this league. right? That's why they're bringing in. It's not because she's a like amazing fighter, because we saw her in the cage. So she's bringing recognition to the league. And at the same time, they're like, let's build this fight up, man. Whatever. At that point, like you're fighting bare knuckle leagues. Like what rules are there going to be? You know what I mean?
That's a good point. So you're saying it's brand specific. It's on
Yeah,
brand.
man. It's like wrestling type of. I mean, look, I'll be completely honest. I've never watched one of these fights in like I don't know enough about this league for me to be discussed. But it just from the little bit that I've seen and the little bit that I do know of it, and just taking a macro kind of perspective on it. It kind of fits. It's like, let's hype up this fight as much as we can. And look, there's going to be some below the belt,
Yeah.
And then the agent comes in and goes, look, maybe you bring up that, not to lighten that, like you said, it's very serious that if that really did happen to her. But again, she's at a point in her career, dude, where she's trying to grab onto anything right now. Like her career in UFC didn't work out.
Yeah, no. Well, Pages for sure. This girl is like literally 2-20. Her record is 2-20.
But that's my point. This is her moment, her 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you'll say whatever you need to say in those 15 minutes.
That's pretty sad, though, man. Honestly, like I understand why she would do that. I personally would hope I would never debase myself to start getting into that. That's kind of. I would bet serious money on Paige to knock her out.
I got 3 letters for you, dude.
Yeah.
GSP, man. The classiest.
Well, yeah.
Classiest, like, athlete. That guy never, he never had to badmouth anyone. He never had to, and you ask people who's, best fighter, and his name comes up often, and people would wow, I really can't speak, specifically refer to that about him. The respect he had for the sport and for the game, and some people have it and some people don't,
Although he had that I am not impressed with your performance moment. Right? And so like think about that today's world, okay? Can you imagine if after a big Israel fight, Jones came in the ring in the octagon and said, I'm not impressed by your. I mean, it's pretty out there in today's UFC.
Yeah.
If you think about that in that way, like that is out for GSP. That was bold, man.
Well, it was coming from him.
Yeah, coming from him. So that's our weekly GSP moment. Shout out to GSP.
Every week. Yeah,
I love GSP.
All right, man. This was fun. I know we were gonna keep it a little shorter, but
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Love it. We love fighting too much. You got a lot to talk about, guys. Mike Tyson is coming back this weekend.
Right? How sick is that?
Sick, man. Like whatever comes out of it is going to be lots to talk about. Like no matter what, whether it's garbage, whether it's a great fight, whether there was shines, like, the way it was done. There's so many different storylines to come out of this. And if you're a fight fan, 100% you are watching this. 100%.
And I want to clarify something. I was talking to, I'm not a Mike Tyson fan. I wasn't a Mike Tyson fan back in the day when he was in his prime, just because it was like you picked sides, back then. It was like if you were a Leaf fan, you can't be a Habs fan or a Bruins fan. It was kind of like that. But I just want to end on a little bit of a positive note. Like I love what Mike Tyson has become as a person. Just, he came from a place of rage and I mean, yes, he did amazing things, but you even listen to him now. And if you haven't checked, he's got his own podcast. It's awesome. He had Eminem on there. Like you have awesome guests on. But just as a person, man, like he's really evolved as a human being. And I respect that greatly, man. And I think it's great that he's done that. And it's great that he's come back full circle and brought it back into the ring when he's in this good place. So hopefully something good comes out of this fight this weekend. And it's not like a farce or something that people are like kind of, I hope that it's like legit and we get entertainment out of it. We get, some action, and that maybe we get more out of it moving down the road.
I hope so too, because it's a good in theory. Hopefully we talk about how the fight went down and not the debacle associated with it. As common in boxing. Hopefully it just goes clean and no shady thing, but do it.
Yeah, man. Tyson Jones Jr. Check it out this weekend, UFC.
Rocky.
All right, guys. This has been a blast. Check us on the flip, and we'll check you all